Welcome to the Father Notes podcast, and I am your host, Warren W. Patten Jr., or you can call me Father Patten. Father Notes is an informational style podcast created to give fathers a voice in their family structure. I encourage fathers to take back fatherhood and shake the trees of tradition to create a stronger family unit. We'll also delve into men's health, leadership, mentorship, and so much more. Okay, men, it's time to be a better father on purpose. Hello, Father, and everyone else who is listening. Hello and welcome to the Father Notes podcast. I am your host, Father Patten. You know, it keeps growing. And I hope I continue to gain listeners. Please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Warren W. Patten Jr. If you want a copy of Father Notes, Being a Better Father on Purpose, visit my website at warrenwpattenjr.com and order your copy. I only have a few left, so please order your copy. Also, it's only available from me, the author. So when you order your copy, it will be signed by the author. Hey, let's get into it. Father Notes episode 11, the podcast. Oh, I got a good one for you this time. I think they're all going to be good, but this is a good one. This is a good one. Yes, it is. This one is called A Father's Journey. A Father's Journey. And I talk about this just a little bit in Father Notes, the book, Being a Better Father on Purpose. And it's from page 14. And I got a little reading I need to do from page 14, of course, because I want you to get kind of the theme of what I'm going to be talking about. And I'm going to be talking specifically about the journey. This is what I write in Father Notes. Select your journey, your path, your dream. Faith is a journey, and you must have faith. Relationships are journeys. I know when you get into a relationship, you got to understand you're on a journey, learning about the other person learning about you. What are your strengths, your potential liabilities? What do you like? What do you dislike? Your work life and your business life is a journey. Oh my goodness. I tell you, when I got started into my business life, I did not understand all of the different facets of the business world. Your personal health is a journey, and probably the most challenging one, because when you want to take care of yourself, there's so many other things that take more importance than your health. But I must tell you, Father, in order for you to be present, viable, relatable in your family, you got to take care of yourself the best you can. None of us are perfect, but you have to work on it as often as you can. Circle back to putting yourself first. Then I end with raising a son is also a journey. Woo, that's heavy right there. When you're raising a son, that is a journey. Many take care of that opportunity. Many shy away from that opportunity. I personally cannot understand it. I couldn't wait till I had a son, even though at first I wanted a daughter. but you know, I'm not in charge. The Lord is the one that said, you will have 5 sons. I said, thank you. So let's get right into it. So that's how I kind of capture it in Father Notes, Being a Better Father on Purpose. But I really want you to think about a poem. And this is kind of like my inspiration. And I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to pull it up so I can read it to you because I think it's very good. Now I'm going to look over here because I usually like to look right into the camera, but I want to read this poem. It's Footprints in the Sand. It is so powerful. And it was the inspiration of why I did this. Inside Father Notes, I actually have footsteps, a set of large footsteps, and then some small footsteps going in their own path. You'll understand shortly. It reads, one night I dreamed I was walking alone on the beach with the Lord. Scenes from scenes from my life flashed across the sky. In each, I noticed footprints in the sand. Sometimes there were two sets of footprints. Other times there was only one. During the low periods of my life, I could see only one set of footprints. So I said, "You promised me, Lord, that you would walk with me always. Why, when I have needed you most, have you not been there for me?" The Lord replied, "The times when you have seen only one set of footprints, my child, is when I carried you." That has always been one of my favorite poems, and it still hits deep. But I also, that equates with my faith with the Lord. And I know I've had some ups and downs, along the way, but I also bring that into the responsibility I have with my son. I have to play the role of the Lord. There are times when I'm walking with my sons. There are times when I am carrying my sons. So that's how I make the connection. That's how I really try to make the understanding that my role as a father is greater than I can ever perceive it. So I'm always embracing discovery when it's time to raise a son, embracing discovery. And I'm always excited about it. Don't be stagnant, be open to the adventure ahead. So I'd like to focus on that specific journey, a father and their son. Your journey with your son starts when you know it's a boy in the womb. Mhm. Does your son hear your voice early on, like it hears the mother's voice? Is your voice a part of your son's DNA from the very beginning so that they recognize that voice? It's a part of them. Fathers start the path of their son's journey to be men. That's the ultimate goal. You have to raise them to be law abiding citizens, being men, being able to navigate the struggles, the challenges ahead, the love ahead. That's your role, Father. And while you're training them, raising them to be men, you're also on your own journey. That's for another episode, I want to tell you. But let's stay focused on raising your son. A father affects their son's dreams and their faith. Now, as they become adults, they might change their dreams, they might change their faith. But when it comes down to it, the foundation that you set is got to be strong. It has got to be strong. So no matter what the belief system is, wherever they think they want to go, they know the foundation is set with you as their father and them as your son. Now, I say in Father Notes, being a better father on purpose, fathers appreciate when their sons follow in their footsteps. There's a lot said about a son following in their father's footsteps. And that's great. And that appreciation makes a father feel proud. On the other hand, fathers respect when their sons create their own footsteps. That's a whole different thing. The respect is greater when your son creates their own footsteps and goes off on a journey on their own. The pride is so much greater. Appreciation is fine. Nothing wrong with appreciation. They want to be like dad. They want to be like father. But when they want to venture out and do their own thing and be better than father, that's got to break you down from the core. And that's what you're really shooting for. That's what you're really shooting for. You really don't need another you. You don't need another father like you walking around. They have to be better fathers, better men because of what you did for them. Now, you should share often as possible your path with your sons. And I tried to do that. I tried not to shy away from some of the things that I've done in my past. Now, granted, I was not a wild child. I didn't do a lot of bad things. Now, I did some things that probably I wasn't as proud of then. But when I think about it, they need to know about those things because I'm only human. I'm not perfect. And I really had to learn how to not allow my sons to think that I was perfect. Because I was on I was on the road, boy. I tried to be the best person I could be, but I'm still just a human. So I had to share with them some of the things that I wasn't too proud of. So that's a part of it. But you need to share with them your ups and your downs, your trials, your tribulations, your triumphs. They should know how you navigated and persevered in your life so that they feel confident that they can do the same. Now, they're going to have a different journey because the world has changed. The things that I did, that was my time. It was meant for me to go through them. But our sons have a whole different world to navigate. We've prepared them the best way we can. But there's so many things going on now to where I am so proud of my sons because they're taking it on the chin and they get up every time they get knocked down. And I hope they learned that from me because what's going on in this world, I don't know how I would have made it. I don't know because things are so different now. But it's their time. I believe I prepared them along with my wife now. Don't get me wrong, I didn't do this alone. But I had a big role in making sure they become men and ready to navigate this world. Now, one of the stories I told them that was a real challenge for me. Story time. I want to talk about my bullies because I had several bullies, but there was one in particular that really made a big impact on my life. I'm not going to say his name, but he was my main bully. He was my bully from the age of 10 to 14 years old. And he loved to pick on me. He was a bigger guy than I was, from 10 to 14. I was still growing up a little bit. By the time I was 14 though, I was about as tall as he was, as large as he was. I grabbed some muscles by then. I had lifted a few weights. I was getting to my own at 14, still young though, not sure of what I could and could not do. But this bully really gave me a hard time. There are many times I had to run home. There's many times he would pick on me while we were playing basketball and, right in the park, because I lived right across the street from the basketball court. And I was very shy and I was trying my best, but I just wasn't aggressive. I just didn't do that. I was too quiet. I was afraid to get into a ruckus with anyone. I didn't want to be seen as a tough guy. I did not. I wanted everybody to get along. But in my neighborhood, that was not on the agenda. So I had to toughen up a little bit. I had to toughen up a little bit. But there was one time my bully, I mean, there was many things I could tell you, but I don't want to spend a lot of time. But this was the one time I stood up to him. I was probably 13. And He always had his crew with him. I did not have a crew. I had my little sisters and brothers. I'm the oldest of five, so they could not help me. I'm riding my sister's bicycle. Yes, I was riding, just having a little fun, staying out of the park as much as I could because at some times when the the mean guys were there, I didn't go over there. So I was riding my bike, but since my home was right across the street from the park, he saw me riding my bike, and he and his crew were sitting on the merry-go-round. And he called me over. By this time, I'm like I said, 13, 14. I had a little hair on my chin, grew a little beard, didn't cut it off. And he asked me to go to the store while I was riding my bike to buy him some cigarettes. Now I'm saying to myself, I've never been asked to do that. Not even my stepfather asked me to buy him cigarettes. But he said, "Man, just go on up there. You look like you old enough." But he just wanted me to be his little errand boy, even though there were three or four other guys on the merry-go-round with him, his buddies, his crew. And this was the first time I said, "I'm not gonna do what my bully says." So I stood there on the bike, and I said, "I can't do that. I'm not gonna do that." He steps off the merry-go-round and he comes up to me, gets in my face a little bit. Man, I told you. Now he's using his curse words. I don't use profanity, but he's giving me a earful of curse words. You gonna take your ta 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 hoo and go up to the ta pa pa ta pa store and you gonna get me some cigarettes. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm not going. And before I knew it, he put his finger right in the middle of my forehead. And he said, "You gonna go?" And I said, "Nope, not gonna do it. I'm standing my ground at this point." 13, maybe 14. Next thing you know, one of the guys on the merry-go-round, as it's going around, hits me in the back of the head. And I want to tell you, that's the first time I saw stars. I saw John Wayne. I saw Lena Horne. I saw all kinds I mean, I blanked out for probably 10 seconds. When I came back to, I could see little stars floating. I mean, for real. And by the time I could get my, equilibrium, get back together, I looked at my bully and I said, "I'm not going to get you any cigarettes." And I got on my bike and I rode back home. Went right up into the house and I told my mother, I said, "Mom, my bully just asked me to go get him some cigarettes." And I said no. And one of his buddies hit me in the back of the head. I said, "But I'm okay." And then my mama said, "You need for me to go out there?" I said, "No, ma'am." I said, "I stood up to him. That's all I can do right now." And I left it as it is. Maybe some months later, he let up a little bit. There's more to the story, but I'm gonna get right to the end of the story. He picked on me quite a few more times, playing basketball, horseshoes, all the things we did in playing outside. I did all of that. He always showed up. But this is one time where it hit me that the Lord is protecting me. He sent some angels down for me. I live across the street from a young lady that I had a little crush on. I hadn't had a girlfriend, and I liked her. And since she stayed across the street and her brother was my best buddy and all of that, I would go over there and just sit around and talk to her. And and that's all we did. Come on now, when I was 13, 14. I would just talk to her. And then one night, and this since I'm at this age, my mom would let me stay out past dark because she knew I was right across the street. Other than that, I'd be in the house. So I come walking across the street and I forgot to look around first. That was the first, because I'm talking to my lady. So, I'm kind of skipping back across the street. And by the time I get into the middle of the street, I hear a voice. "Hey, Warren." And I stop and look, and it's my bully. Our street dead ends into another street. Yeah, kind of like that. Okay. And that's where the park is and the elementary school that I went to. Also, on that corner, on that sidewalk, is a bike rack, Back in the day, there was two bike racks sitting there. And my bully was sitting there with his cousin. I didn't know his cousin well, but I knew it was his cousin. And he said, Warren. I said, yeah. And I kept walking. He said, wait a minute. I need you to call me a cab. And I said, a cab? He said, yeah, man. He started to cuss me out again. Get in there and call me a cab. I said, all right. So I got in the house and closed the door, and I told my mom, I said, Mom, my bully wants me to call him a cab. She said, what you going to do? I said, I'm not calling him a cab. She said, okay. So I went back to the door, leaned out, and I said, hey, bully, my mother is on the phone. I can't call you a cab. He commenced to cussing me out again. Now I can see him from my front door. There's a big magnolia tree in my front yard, and it kind of blocks that corner, right where the street meets the other street, like I shared with you. Okay. So while he's cussing me, lights shine, and there's a taxi cab coming up my street. They had already called a cab, but they were getting impatient. That's why he asked me to call a cab. So I see the cab coming up, and I was about to say, hey, bully, there's your cab. But he says to me, man, get back in the house. We all right. So they walk real slow because I'm still being nosy. I'm looking out. But I don't know that they have a plan. Okay. So I get in, I slowly close the door, and I went back to my mother and I said, Mom, my bully's cab showed up. She said, well, all right, you're okay. Fine. The next morning, my mother wakes me up with the newspaper, and it says that there was an attempted robbery in my neighborhood, one street over, and it was the death of my bully. My bully got into the driver's side, and my bully's cousin got into the passenger side, and the cab driver was in the middle, and they were going to rob him. The cousin had a gun, and they panicked, and I guess he tried to shoot the cab driver. The cab driver ducked down, and the bullet struck my bully, and my bully was killed. How ironic that I was the last one to see my bully alive. That hit me very hard. And that really is one of the pivotal points of me trying to change my life, even though I wasn't doing anything bad, but I knew I did not go out after dark. My mother didn't worry about me. I stayed in the house. Yes, I did. And very afraid when I had basketball games where I had to ride my bicycle home after a home game. That's why I was in great shape because I used to ride my bicycle. I was flying. They would have had to catch me, and I went several different ways home. I sure did. So I tell my sons about that because I was being bullied, and they might be bullied as well. And we found out all of my sons had times where they were actually being bullied. How to navigate that, how to turn the other cheek, how to be smart in a situation, how to live to see another day, to give you a chance and not let evil detour you. Mhm. That is true. Now, that was my, struggle story, my trials and tribulation story. But you also got to tell them your stories of triumph. You can't just tell them the bad things. You got to tell your sons the good things, the things that you were actually working on. Story time. So, this is the story that I told them about when I was triumphant, my basketball journey. I went to a school where it was pretty prestigious. It was a very uh, high level basketball school, of course. In the seventh and eighth grade, I did not play basketball. I played a lot of rock ball at lunchtime, where we put asphalt rocks in a milk carton and shot it in a trash can. Oh, I was playing hard rock ball when we at lunchtime. I was dreaming that I wanted to play basketball. I don't even remember seeing it on TV at that time. I might have saw a little bit of ABA and Dr. J. Probably. Then in the ninth grade, I got bused to another school. And at that school, they had a basketball team. And got brave and I went out for the team. And most of the people that were already on the team from the seventh, eighth, and now ninth grade did not want me on the team, even though they knew me from the neighborhood, because I got bused to the school from the neighborhood. And I played with these guys all the time, but they never really thought much of me. So when I got on the team, of course, I was playing pretty good. I became the starting center, even though I was the shortest of the starting five, but I had hops. So I was able to play because I knew how to rebound. I wasn't a big scorer, but I was a great rebounder. And my coach said, every time you get a rebound, that's a possession for our team. And we get an opportunity to score. Like, all right, I can do rebounds. Fast forward, I get to high school, go back to the high school that I went to in seventh and eighth grade. And I also know these guys that's on the team, but I've never played with them, but we went to the same school. So I went out for the team. I made to junior varsity, but I really wanted to be on the varsity team. And I played very hard. And then I got a chance to play junior varsity and varsity. And then by the time I was a junior, I got a chance to play more varsity than junior varsity. And I earned me a spot on the varsity team as the starting point guard. The behind the scenes, I told my sons, this is what I did to get to that point. I played basketball as often as I could over in the park right across the street with the mean guys. I got beat up a few times, but I kept coming back. I got really tough. I didn't beat up anybody, but I got tough enough to stand the pressure and getting the beat down, physical basketball. I bought worked at a little job and I bought me a basketball goal. My father allowed me to put it on the garage. I put it up myself. I had nails, hammers, put it up myself. That fell down in a windstorm. I kept working my little part-time jobs and I bought me another basketball goal, one with a pole, and I put it in the backyard. Then I put another basketball goal so I could have a whole court in my backyard. My father got very upset with me because I was tearing up his grass, but he saw that I really wanted to play basketball. So he said, let's just put some concrete down and make a court. Like, what? Now, we did not get a chance to put the concrete down. We did not get a chance. I dug up all the dirt. We put some 2x4s. We were planning on doing it, but I think my father said that's too much money and we don't have it. But that's okay. I was By this time, I was really playing very good and got an opportunity to get a scholarship. But I wanted my sons to know my journey of how I got to be a very good basketball player, and that helped me get to college, playing playing in front of my mother's green van and practicing my dribbling skills. While other guys were just shooting, I was practicing my dribbling. They said, "Warren, come over here and play." Not right now. I'm practicing. Man, that's how I got good at every single thing. And I could use my left hand as well as my right hand. So I hope my sons learn about persistence. I hope my sons learn about determination, focus, the work ethic that it takes to do what you want to do. When you're dreaming, and I dreamed of getting a scholarship and I got a scholarship. That's how it works. So I really have worked on my sons to understand what it takes to get what you want out of this life. It's not going to be given to you. You have to work for it. And being a man, That's a whole nother episode. I'm telling you right now, that's a whole nother episode. But I've told them stories about that as well. So I would encourage you, Father, to be prepared to support, to listen, to hug, to nurture, to discipline, and to train your son over and over and over again during this journey. Be committed to doing all of that as much as possible. Separate your journey with your son from your wife. Two totally different journeys. Separated from your job. Totally different journeys. It demands your focus for years, and you are raising a man. You are raising a man and potentially a father. Mm. I hope I was able to help someone on this episode. I hope some of the information I've shared was an inspiration to you to be a better father on purpose so that you can raise some outstanding sons, some outstanding young men. We need more outstanding young men in this world doing great things for other people, themselves and other people. Father Patten, get ready to sign off. I almost got a little emotional right there. I did. So thank you so much for listening. And hey, I will see you on the next episode. It'll be episode 12. I'm just rocking. And I'm also planning to bring in some new people to talk to, kind of like an informational style podcast. Oh, see, I'm still dreaming. Later, embrace, embrace discovery, embrace discovery. Thanks for joining the Father Knowts podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel at 1W Patten Jr. That's Patten Jr. Follow our socials on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Father, make the choice to use your voice